with you, can we get into the questions?
Yeah, please, let's dive in.
Awesome, awesome. So first, we understand that you spent quite a long time at GIS from elementary up until graduation. Can you just tell us a little bit about that experience? Did you develop an interest in politics at GIS? Was it something that happened after? And just kind of tell us a little bit about that. What do you remember?
Yeah, well, we arrived at the end of 1969, and so Chalandak wasn't even really built at that time. So it was Patimura that was our school, and I remember we spent several years at GIS at that time. I think it was until 1972 or 73. And then we moved to Singapore for 2 years and then moved back to Indonesia in 1974. And then I stayed from 74 to 82. So I essentially had almost my entire education at GIS. And I remember when we went to the Chalandak campus, it was so phenomenal. One of the things I still remember are all the frangipani trees. I don't know if they're still there, but they were a big part of walking across the grassy places between those modules and picking up the frangipani. But I had an amazing experience there. I mean, I still remember and still am in touch with a few of my teachers, the Flicks, Harlan Flick, who taught track for many years, and then Pam Flick, who was actually I took typing at GIS and got a typing award, which she told me to never tell anybody, but it has really stood me up so well. But also all the fine arts. I mean, I'm still in touch with Lincoln Meyerson and Latifah Meyerson and Lynn Thomas and many of the people who ran the Joint Sound and Concert Choir. I was in several musicals at GIS. And I think it was, an experience like no other, because I always say it just made me feel like the world was so small, because there were people from all over the world there. And it definitely increased my interest in the rest of the world and my understanding in the rest of the world. As far as politics, I guess I must have been, because I ran for some office my senior year. I think it was vice president of the student class or something like that. I remember Scott Bolitar was the president, and he was like, "You need to run because I won't get anything done unless I have somebody like you there." So yeah, I guess, I didn't think about it that much at the time, but I did a lot of activist work, if I were to describe it that way now. We would go to the kampongs and, we would help out there after big storms. We had a number of, assistance days across the campus. And obviously I've spent most of my life dedicated to social justice, including in the rest of the world. So I think a lot of that probably got started at GIS.
Yeah, so do you think those intercultural experiences at a school like GIS really kind of helped either shape that direction that you went in, or at least provide a certain kind of understanding or fundamental?
Oh, there's no question. There's no question about that. I mean, I knew about places in the world that nobody else knew about that I still draw on. I mean, that experience at GIS, I think, cemented a deep interest in the rest of the world. And I think all of my work internationally, before I became a congresswoman, working on international health and development issues, my understanding of global coalitions, my understanding of poverty, honestly, as well, poverty and privilege. I think a lot of that came from GIS and was shaped by GIS and had a long-lasting impact on me. And I don't think, the fact that I've kept in touch with so many people from GIS over the years, it really came about because of Facebook mostly, but we have I think there is a really close-knit community where I've even been surprised where along political lines, perhaps I thought we might be more divided, but I've been really pleasantly surprised to see that people who spent time in Indonesia at GIS with me, who may otherwise come from more politically conservative backgrounds, are still extremely supportive of immigration, are still, extremely supportive of global development aid. I mean, I just think there are things that shaped us being there and shaped our understanding of what the rest of the world was like and what the United States' role is in really advancing policy that benefits the entire world.
Right. And yeah, so we have to ask. We know Senator Duckworth was also a GIST student. Have you two chatted about GIST at all?
Just in passing, because I think there was some article that mentioned that we went there, and, of course, Barack Obama and his time in Indonesia.
Right.
And so I think we've sort of mentioned that here and there, but no deep conversation. But she and I do work together on a number of issues, and she's wonderful. Obviously, I'm a part of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, and we're very proud of that work that of that beginning that we had at GIS.
I mean, she was an 8th grader at the time when you graduated.
I'm the older and wiser one.
Wiser is the key word, I think. Yeah. So we heard you mention a couple of teachers already. So what was it about some of those teachers that kind of inspired you, if they did at all, or what was that kind of connection like with your teachers? We know that so many of our alumni and our current students, that's one of the things that they always talk about, is that the teachers and the faculty and the staff are just so warm and welcoming. So if you could just talk a little bit more about what those connections were like for you.
Yeah, I mean, it really, that's exactly what it was. I felt like they really nurtured us. They nurtured our learning. And I built relationships that went beyond, just going into a classroom. I mean, I remember, having meals with some of these teachers. And I remember, just being encouraged to go outside of my comfort zone sometimes when I needed that. Or people who would see something in me that I didn't even think I saw in myself and encouraged me in my learning. And that was, including people who were tough on me. I mean, I remember Ranu Dali, man, she was tough on me. She was AP English, and she was fantastic, really fantastic. And the fact that I went on to get an English literature degree, I always say, like, she's partly to blame for that. When my dad wanted me to get an economics degree, I learned my love of words with her. I was just talking about Madame Soussou, who was my French teacher. And I'm kind of amazed that I still remember a lot of French. And I credit it to Madame Soussou. She was such a great French teacher. And it really took a personal interest in me and in helping me to really excel. But also Dorothy Barber, who would give B++++ on a grade. It was so infuriating. And I would be like, Mrs. Barber, how do I move up to the A? And she's like, oh, you'll get there. And then I would see A minus, 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 minus. I don't think I've ever had another teacher who gave so many pluses or so many minuses. But they all did an amazing job of just opening a world to us that we didn't know was there as young people. I was very young when I went to GIS. I mean, I graduated at the age of 16. And I think, to have been able to come to the United States by myself, which is what happened, I really needed a foundation that was strong in terms of not just education, but my own sense of self and security. And I think GIS gave that to me.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. If you have any words of advice for any GIS students that might be interested in activism or trying to enter politics at some point, do you have any words of advice for them? We have many students that are involved in social clubs and trying to do better in their communities.
Like,
Yeah.
Anak-anak is still there, like what we remember. It only gets wider.
Yes. Yeah, I do. I think that GIS is such a privileged place. I mean, to be at GIS is a place of tremendous privilege. And I think it can be easy to sort of rest in that place of privilege. But one of the great beauties of being in Indonesia and being at GIS is to examine the relationship between privilege, those who have privilege and those who do not, and what the causes of that are, because that is ultimately what we're talking about when we talk about justice. It isn't just that we are great and that's why we have privilege, it's that we are in particular situations and circumstances that allow us that privilege. And so I think anything that explores that, which is not comfortable, by the way. I mean, one of the one of the things that used to be true, I think it's less true now because we have so much poverty here in America as well. But one of the things that used to be true of living in other countries, such as India or Indonesia, is that you could not walk outside and not question that sense of privilege unless you really blocked yourself off to it. And so that's what I would say is remember that your privilege isn't just because you earned it. It's because you happen to be in a situation with a lot of access. And so use that access even in school to explore how you might share, how you might make the adage that we're all better off when we're all better off really true. And then the other thing is just, it's in a very particular place in the world, Southeast Asia, Indonesia. At the time that I was there, of course, it was one of the largest Muslim populations in the world. And I think my respect and my work around, anti-Islamophobia, founding One America after 9/11, and fighting on behalf of Muslims here in America, as well as all immigrant communities, comes in part from that understanding of Islam from a country that was, had a lot of contradictions built in to it relative to the stereotypes of Islamic countries. And so I would really say use that opportunity in Indonesia to explore religion, explore the rest of the relationships between the ASEAN countries and the rest of the world. It is a really unique opportunity, and don't forget that you may not have that again. I have been fortunate to have that again, but for a lot of people, you may not have that again. And so do everything you can to explore right where you are and remind yourself over and over again that you have a responsibility to pay it forward. Whatever your privilege is, you have a responsibility to pay it forward.
So before you mentioned joint sound and concert choir, are you still singing? Is there a congressional group that you're a part of? Do you still perform? When was your last performance?
No, there is no congressional group, though. I just literally, like a month ago, said to my husband, if I had more time, I would join a choir, but I just have no time. And so I downloaded a karaoke app recently, and, I sing to myself on the karaoke app, and maybe one of these days I'll have enough time to join a choir, but right now that's just not part of it. So instead I turn on my music and, and I sing along whenever I'm feeling blue. And I still remember all of I still remember so many of those songs that we sang in Joint Sounds. And this is a fun thing. There is a video somewhere online that you can find pretty easily of when I was invited, I think it was in my first term, I was invited to the Indonesian ambassador's house here in DC. And he was absolutely floored because I can still speak some Bahasa Indonesia. Of course, we know it's not, it's one of the easier languages to learn and remember because it has really no tenses. But when I went to his house, he is a phenomenal cook. And so he cooked this multi-course meal, and his wife was there. And I happened to mention that I still knew some Indonesian songs. And she said, which one? Let's sing one. And so we sang Halo Halo Bandung together, and the staff at the Indonesian embassy videotaped it and then put it out on the internet. The Congresswoman from Washington's 7th Congressional District sings Halo Halo Bandung with the ambassador's wife. It was such a fun, it was really a fun thing. So that is public. So you could always put it out there, but I still remember all the words.
That's great. Well, I just got a note that your hard stop is coming up. So just any parting thoughts for the people of GIS or Indonesia? We are all here rooting for you. We are we're very proud of the work that you do and that you have this affiliation with GIS. As an American citizen, I am very happy that you are one of the people that is in Congress at the moment, fighting for things that need to be fought for. So thank you for that. Any parting words for everybody else here in Jakarta?
Well, I just want to say thank you to GIS because, it's been a long time now, but I have never forgotten GIS. I've never forgotten Indonesia. I've never forgotten the generosity and the loving nature the people that I encountered through my education, but also outside the walls of the school. And it has shaped me. It really has shaped me. And so for that, I'm very grateful and glad that you can be proud of what just helped me to become. And I guess that award, when I got Most Likely to Succeed, I think, and I was photographed with Mark Polzer in a rickshaw for my senior year Most Likely to Succeed thing, it must have somehow helped propel me along the way. So thank you so much for that. And thanks for taking me down memory lane for a little bit.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate that you took the time. I mean, I think for us fellow dragons, I think it's always nice to reconnect and to go down that memory lane and to remember, like you remember Halo Halo Bandung is such a traditional song.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both so much. Take care. Have a wonderful day. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.